He wasn't supposed to be here. Not a kid from Alkmaar, not a boy who grew up thousands of miles from the haka, the black jersey, and the rugby world's most sacred traditions. But sometimes, destiny chooses its own path. This is the extraordinary journey of Fabian Holland, the Dutch-born lock who crossed continents, defied expectations, and rose all the way to the All Blacks, ending his debut season as the World Rugby Men's 15th Breakthrough Player of the Year. Welcome back to Skylight Waves, the home of real stories behind the world's most powerful athletes. If you love deep-dive biographies that go beyond the highlights, tap like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next journey. Now, let's begin. Early life, roots of a dream. Fabian Holland was born on October 9, 2002 in the Dutch city of Alkmaar, and raised in the quiet village of Akersloot. A place where football dominates playgrounds, not rugby. But Fabian was different from day one. At 5 years old, he walked onto the field at Castricum's Rugby Club, a small community club that would unknowingly shape one of the most unlikely rugby careers of his generation. But the moment that changed everything? 2014, when the All Black Sevens team held a training camp right there at his home club. Imagine being a young Dutch kid, watching legends in black train just meters away. The professionalism. The intensity. The manna. For Fabian, it wasn't just inspiring. It was life-altering. A seed was planted, one day, I want to be like them. The move that changed everything. Fast forward to early 2019. Fabian was 16, ambitious, and ready to chase something bigger. He traveled to New Zealand, alone, on what was supposed to be a 6-month stay to study and play rugby at Christchurch Boys High School, a school known for producing All Blacks. But 6 months turned into the moment he found home. The culture. The brotherhood. The intensity of New Zealand rugby. Everything clicked. Fabian didn't just fit in, he belonged. And by the time he finished high school, staying in New Zealand wasn't a dream, it was the plan. Highlanders, the rise begins. In 2021, after graduating, Fabian moved south to Dunedin. This was where the real grind began. He joined the Highlanders Under-20 squad, and at the same time signed with the Dunedin Rugby Football Club, representing their premier team whenever he was available. Coaches immediately noticed something unusual. A European-born lock with New Zealand physicality, but European discipline. A blend they hadn't seen before. Later that same year, he signed a high-performance contract with the Highlanders and joined their development side, the Bravehearts. His progression was fast, but earned. Every tackle. Every gym session. Every scrap of opportunity. And on June 23, 2022, the Highlanders made it official. Fabian Holland had signed a 3-year fully professional Super Rugby contract. The Dutch kid was now a Highlander. Wearing black. Most players dream of representing New Zealand. Fabian. He had crossed an entire continent to chase that dream. His journey through New Zealand's age grade system proved he belonged at the highest level. New Zealand Barbarians Under-18, 2020. New Zealand Schools, 2020. New Zealand Under-20, 2021. Each step was a message. He wasn't just fitting in with Kiwi rugby. He was excelling in it. Then came June 2025, the moment everything changed. Fabian was named in the All Black squad for the France Tour of New Zealand. A Dutch-born lock, now wearing rugby's most iconic jersey. He played all 6 matches of the Rugby Championship, then added multiple appearances in the end-of-year internationals. And with every performance, he looked less like a newcomer. And more like the future of New Zealand's engine room. Personal life. Behind the powerful tackles and towering presence, Fabian Holland's story is rooted in something much simpler. A young boy leaving home for a dream most people didn't even know was possible. Growing up in Akersloot, life was quiet, structured, and full of family support. Rugby wasn't the obvious path, but it was the one he fell in love with from the moment he picked up the ball. Moving to New Zealand at just 16, wasn't easy. He was far from home, far from family, and adjusting to an entirely different world. But Christchurch Boys High School became his first New Zealand family, a place where friendships and support systems carried him through the challenges of being a young athlete living alone on the other side of the world. When he later settled in Dunedin, Fabian embraced the community with the same heart he brought to the field. The Highlanders, the Dunedin club, his teammates, they weren't just part of his rugby career. They became part of his life. Through it all, Fabian remained grounded, low profile, and connected to both sides of his identity. Proudly Dutch. Proudly New Zealand. A blend that makes his journey truly one of a kind. A global breakthrough. When the year ended, the world had taken notice. Fabian Holland, the kid from Alkmaar, was crowned the World Rugby Men's 15th Breakthrough Player of the Year. He triumphed over nominees Ethan Hooker, Henry Pollock, and Joseph Okuso Suli. A monumental achievement. A global stamp of approval. A sign that his impact was only beginning. From watching the All Blacks train in a small Dutch town to becoming one of them, his story had come full circle. Fabian Holland's rise is more than a rugby story. It's a story of courage, belief, and crossing oceans to chase something bigger than yourself. Because greatness doesn't care where you were born. Only how far you're willing to go. Untold and lesser-known facts. There are the headlines, and then there are the stories hidden between them, the ones that truly reveal who Fabian is behind the jersey. Here are lesser-known truths. The night he nearly quit rugby. Before his rise, Fabian had a moment where the path felt too uncertain. A quiet conversation with a former coach, who told him he had something special he hadn't learned how to use yet, pulled him back from walking away. He arrived in New Zealand with one bag. At 16, Fabian stepped off the plane with a single duffel bag and no guaranteed place in the squad. Just belief, and courage. A hidden mentor inside the Highlanders. One senior lock quietly shaped his growth, through late-night film sessions and extra gym work. A mentor whose identity remains mostly behind the scenes. Dutch roots that still anchor him. No matter the time zones, Fabian watches match highlights with his parents on video calls after major games. A simple ritual that keeps him grounded. A jersey number he wasn't supposed to wear. Early in development, he once wore a senior player's jersey number by accident. The coaches joked he shouldn't get used to it. Until his performance that day said otherwise. If you enjoyed this cinematic journey, drop a like, hit subscribe, and share this story with someone who loves rugby as much as you do. This is Skylight Waves. Where every athlete has a story. And every story has a heartbeat.